Hello everyone. Today we are going to study Indological approach. So we are going to discuss this question, limitations of Indological approach. This is a 10 marker question. So how should ideally we write a good answer? So before writing an answer, what we have to do? We have to do a rough work. In rough work, we must divide our answer into three parts. First, we have to write introduction. Then we have to write body, and in the last we have to provide conclusion. Conclusion is must in all answers. So in introduction, what we can do in these type of questions, we can simply provide a definition. So here we can provide a definition of Indology, definition of Indology in our introduction. In body, what we can do? First, we can provide features of Indology. Then we can provide limitations or criticism of Indology. And in the conclusion, ideally what we should do, we should provide importance of Indological approach, or we can also write how Indological approach enriched our knowledge of Indian society. So now let's discuss the questions. First, as we have already told you, we have to write definition of Indology. So Indology simply means systematic study of Indian society. So Indology simply means a systematic study of Indian society. Why systematic study of Indian society? Because Indologists believe that the methods that applied on Western Europe cannot be applied here because the Western society is different and Indian society is different. So we have to invent new methods to study Indian society. That is why this new approach which is study Indian society is known as Indological approach. Okay. If we talk about the Indological approach primarily rests on books. What books? Scriptures, various scriptures of ancient India like Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata. So all these scriptures provide enough knowledge about Indian society. So that is why Indological approach is also known as book view. Next, if we talk about Indological approach is an independent approach that developed in India. Next thing, Indological approach is more on understanding of Indian society. If we talk about Indological approach, it focused more on understanding of Indian society than suggesting new changes in the Indian society. They are not concerned with the changes. What they are concerned with? They are concerned with the understanding of Indian society, how Indian society was, and how various institutions of Indian society works. If next thing we talk about, understanding of the society is developed in terms of continuity from the past through the identification of historical moorings. They explain various historical events to define all these continuity. For example, caste system was there in ancient India and it continued in medieval times then to modern. So because of this Indological approach, our understanding of caste culture or various social institutions like family, marriage, family, or etc., evolved to a great extent. So this is how Indological approach contributed positively to the study of Indian society. If we talk about various figures of Indological approach, so there were many great sociologists associated with Indological approach. Example, G.S. Ghore. He was a towering figure in Indian sociology. He's also known as the father of Indian sociology. R.K. Mukherjee was also a very famous Indologist. Louis Dumont, he studied caste system from Indological approach. His concept of pure and impure, so all these sociologists were quite famous for their study in by Indological approach. But Indological approach is having certain inherent limitations. For example, as we have already studied, Indological approach were focusing on what? They were focusing on the understanding. They were not concerned with the suggestions. So first approach will be they will not be able to understand the changes brought about by modernity. Okay, so what they were concerned with? They were just concerned with the continuity. How is institution emerged in ancient India continues to the modern India, but they were not concerned with how that institution was different in ancient India and it is quite different in modern India. So first limitation will be they these Indologists were not concerned with the modern changes. They ignored modern changes. Second thing, These Indologists, for example, G.S. Ghore, Louis Dumont, they were primarily focusing on the texts of Hindu religion because for them Indian society is a Hindu society. So somewhere they ignored the contribution of Islamic and British rulers. So this is how the second limitation of Indology emerged. If you talk about the third limitation of Indology, Indology is primarily focusing on culture. So A.R. Desai criticized Indology for its overemphasis on culture. For him, culture always not a dominant force because economy is a dominant force. For him, there are several historical period where many rulers who were not from upper caste, they played a very significant role in shaping the Indian history. So according to A.R. Desai, Indology is primarily focusing on culture and it ignored the economic aspects like inequality, diversity, dialectic, and exploitation, all these methods. Next, if we talk about Louis Dumont, Dumont has been criticized for, appreciating caste system because what Dumont did, Dumont told caste system was a quite functional to the Indian society. So, Dumont was criticized because of his features of caste system. Okay, but in reality caste system is quite a different institution. There are lots of contrast involved in caste system, but Demo gave a very ideal picture of caste system. Next, mn Srinivas criticized uh, Indological approach for their book view because mn Srinivas believed that what is written in book is ideal thing and what is on ground or what is in the field is a practical thing. So according to M.N. Srinivas, sociologists focus on field view in place of book view. Next thing, as we have seen, many ancient texts are talking about Varna system. Varna system. So for the Indologists, caste is a Varna system. But for many sociologists like M.N. Srinivas, Andre Vete, they believe that Varna is a theoretical concept, whereas Jati exists in reality. So what we study in text is different, and what we found on the ground is different. So that is why they both criticize Indology. Next, Yogendra Singh have also criticized Indology. Why Yogendra Singh have criticized Indology? Because according to Yogendra Singh, Indological texts examples from ancient texts which are non-observable, and it may possible they are based on some guesswork. So there is no empirical evidence of all these examples from ancient India. So that is why he criticized Indological approach. But in spite of the above criticism, Indological approach you know is a quite significant approach which contributed or enriched our understanding of Indian society. There are recently there has been an effort to revisit the traditional text for seeking reinterpretation. Some form of postmodern Indology seems to be emerging with the revival of interest among scholars about the culture of ancient India. Some interesting perspective have been offered recently by the likes of Devdutt Patnaik, who said an altogether different light on Indian mythology. Romila Thapar has combined Indology with history. Vinny Donizer has used his perspective to explore alternative views on traditional Hindu social organizations. So this is how Indology have contributed to our understanding of Indian society. So this is how you can conclude your answer. So I hope you have understood my lecture. So thank you. Thank you for listening.